Brought up the school district, we see it all the time, and just like I was saying, that we have a situation that we're trying to deal with because there are many families now that have other families living in their homes, because as we take attendance and we find out who these kids are, we find out that families have taken them on, and so it is a concern. We have very few families that are actually living in the street, but we do have people that are living inside garages and other things that you have described, and so it is a problem. I think that as we talk to the citizens, and we have the city council informally, we've talked about a permanent structure that's going to house the homeless. It has not overwhelmingly received support from the citizens of La Mesa. So I think that we need to be realistic when we talk about that. However, this city has prided itself in using volunteers and services and the churches and the schools. Our school, for instance, we have a food bank and we have a clothing bank, and I think that what the city needs to do is continue their partnership with the churches, with the schools, with the organizations, and find alternative ways that are unconventional in some respects, but that serve the needs of the people that don't have homes. And I also want to be real clear, not to confuse families that are homeless, because I've met those folks, and people that are panhandling. Some of the panhandlers are homeless people, but not all of them. And I think we need to make that distinction. And when we've talked about panhandling before and trying to limit it, it's a safety issue for vehicles, not just trying to sweep people under the rug, but making sure that vehicle drivers and people that are in the medians aren't going to be subject to some type of injury. So, thank you.
We have a problem with homelessness, right? We have a problem in La Mesa, we've got a problem in the neighboring cities, we've got a countywide problem. So, firstly, we have to address it, working with our neighbors and with the county, that I myself wants to tent out at Supervisor Diane Jacobs' office and say, we need some help with this problem. But we also have to look at it as more than something that comes up every 2 years at this forum. That we talk about homelessness and we don't know what to do about it, and it's a shame, and we love these people. But then we're going to go back and nothing's going to change. I will put this on the front burner. I want this to be something that we address, because what we're doing is not working. It's not getting better just by trying to shush them away or hide them away. I think that we seriously need to look at it as something that needs perhaps a shelter in the city. That's going to be a hard sales job. But I believe that where would we put it? Let's direct city staff. Have we ever tried that? Have we ever gone? Has the city council ever said that, what are the options here? Can we direct them? I think that we can also work with the schools together with the city. When I go to these city council meetings, and I don't hear about any coordination between the city and the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think it's a great vision to build something for the homeless, but I think we need to get to the root cause. Why are they homeless? Do they have needs? For instance, families. Do they need a shelter? Do they need skills? We have 377 homeless children. That bothers me. They're going to school. I don't know where they're living, and that's terrible. So we have to have compassion for them, but we need to find out what we need. If they're vets, we need to get them to the VA. If they have some alcohol or chemical dependency, we need to get them some services. I'm not saying not build something for them, but we need to help them. If they're families that are struggling and living in a car, maybe the father lost his job or the mother did, let's try to get them some skill set. Father Joe, they have training programs. Let's give them some skills so that possibly they can get back into the workplace. Not everybody wants a hand out, they want a hand up. And I think we need to help them. If they need certain medical attention, let's get it for them. The county has the facilities to do that and the finances. And then lastly, on building a homeless shelter, I really believe that we'd have to go to the community. We couldn't just build it anywhere. We'd have to get the input. It'd have to be a partnership between the community and the council and everyone involved, because not everyone is going to want a homeless shelter next door to their home.
The more you get to know me, the more you'll know that I am absolutely honest when I speak with someone. So, you asked a two-part question. Would I favor establishing a homeless shelter in La Mesa? Absolutely yes. It's something that every community should do, because there are always less fortunate people that need help. It's really bothering that there are families with children here that are homeless and enrolled in our schools, and who's looking to help them? I don't know. So should our city be trying something? Yes. When you ask me where should that shelter be built, honestly, I don't know. The city doesn't seem to have land to partner with a private entity to build such type of shelter. So if you go out to the public and you ask them, you're going to get not in my backyard probably 95–99% of the time. It's a very difficult question, and it's a very difficult problem. So with that said, whoever the future of La Mesa is, whether it's in the near future or far future, they have to look out for those in need. Thank you.
When any of us look at a homeless person, I think the majority of us come up with two thoughts. Number one, how do they get in that situation? They should be able to pull themselves out of it. They're drug addicts, they're alcoholics, you know, they need to work on it. The other group, the other question that we have is, there but for the grace of God go I. And in order to look at it that way, you have to go back to when you were younger, young married. For some of us like me, that's ancient history. For others, it's not too far back. Every income, every amount of money that you get goes directly to a bill. You have no savings, you have nothing. Well, let's suppose something happens. It could be a divorce, it could be a job loss, it could be a variety of issues, and you don't have a safety net. You don't have a church, you don't have family that can help you out. What happens? You end up homeless. And once you're homeless, it just cascades, because then you don't have a place to call a residence and receive checks and emails. You don't have a place to look for work. You don't have a place to do your laundry. You don't have a place to clean yourself up. Food is not the issue. Anybody that's worked with homeless will say food is not the issue. There has to be a concerted effort. That's what I was telling you earlier. A council member, one person, cannot do it as himself, but he can facilitate the idea of working with churches. Every church, every organization has their own skills, their own strengths. We need to find the strengths of each organization, and we all need to work together to be able to solve that. Yes, I think there needs to be a homeless shelter. One of the options, a friend of mine has container homes that he uses. You know, the containers from the ships. They put them together and they can build homes very inexpensive, and there are vacant lots that have been empty for decades in East San Diego and Mesa. Thank you.
Homelessness is a national problem and a national shame on our society. I think one of the things we have a tendency to do is acknowledge that we have a problem, but then say it's somebody else's challenge to go ahead and resolve. The fact of the matter is that we as a small city could not go ahead and address the specific issue of homelessness. I've seen data where 65% of all the people that are homeless need some kind of institutional or medical kind of assistance. They've got some serious, serious problems. What we have to do is go out there and combine our resources with other jurisdictions and see if we can go ahead and develop a regional-wide homeless shelter, if you will. The city of El Cajon did that several years ago. To their credit, they did an outstanding job. But in a matter of months, they got so much criticism that the only way that the council could stand the heat is by closing that. 10 years ago, I worked very closely with Father Joe, and we opened a homeless shelter here in La Mesa for the entire winter. It was 120 days. It was something that we were able to do because we had an empty facility that we were able to accommodate and modify it to accommodate families and people who were single, both male and female single, so we had 3 quarters. The reality also about homeless is that we have to address in a different perspective. There is something called share housing that we're trying to promote in East County. There are a number of people, seniors who are living by themselves. They don't want to leave the neighborhood or lose their home. And it's really easy to go out there and combine that program with share housing. The screening process is going to be difficult. But I think with the help of the churches and even with jurisdictions, we can achieve that goal. But keep in mind, there is nothing more humiliating than to have one of these veterans who has gone out there and given their all, and sometimes even part of their bodies have been left on the battlefield, come back and they're homeless. That is an indictment on our society that we should not condone.